Now, sometimes, and unfortunately this happens more often than I like, I get a sense that some students are gambling. Like, what I mean by that is they're not ready for the road test, but they want to give their luck a try, right? And it's like, the ICBC is not your casino. The driving school that you're borrowing the vehicle is not the poker table, and that examiner is not your dealer, right? Like, we're not trying our luck. There are certain things that you need to know for the road test before you show up. It's pretty straightforward what they're looking for, right? They're trying to see if you're going to be able to handle making left and right turns at all types of intersections, whether it's a four-way, whether it's a two-way, whether you have a regular intersection light, an uncontrolled intersection, an intersection with an advanced turn signal, an intersection with a protected turn signal, so on and so forth, right? And they're looking to see, are you able to do low speed maneuvers? Is your parallel parking on par? Can you do a 3-point turn safely? Can you merge onto the highway and exit off the highway safely? These things do not change. They have a very fixed regimen that they stick to, and they expect you to know those things. So when a student shows up for the road test unprepared, it looks bad for everybody. It looks bad for the student. It looks bad for the instructor that has given that student the vehicle to show up for the road test with. And it's just unnecessary, right? We've got about a 50% pass rate right now with road tests, and it's really low. Like, that means that every other student doesn't pass the road test, right? And after COVID, like, that percentage has gone up slightly, so now there's like a 58% pass rate, but that's still 42% of students that are not passing road tests. So imagine an examiner is doing 8 road tests per day. 3 or 4 of their students per day are not passing the road test. And it's, it should be the case where everyone's passing. The only difference between the student that passes and the student that doesn't pass is the amount of hours that they've put into driving. They've seen enough scenarios to know how to deal with that tricky lane that's coming to an end, and they have to merge over safely into the other lane. They know that coming around that corner, there's going to be a playground zone, or they're scanning over to the right so that when they're making a turn onto a new road, they can actually spot the new speed sign posted there, right? So sometimes we get students that have driven like 10 hours and they want to show up and do a road test. And it's like, well, as soon as you leave that parking lot, 30 seconds into the road test, the examiner is going to know what's up, right? They're going to know, okay, this student is not quite there. And you know what? They'll give you the whole experience. Like, as long as they haven't done something really dangerous, chances are they'll let you go through the whole road test, get the whole experience, and then at the end of the road test, they'll say, hey, back at that first intersection, you forgot to make a full stop at a red light before turning right. And there's a lot of students that fail on something so simple, like, hey, red light means stop. You gotta make a complete stop before you think about turning right. Why do people do it? Because they see everybody else on the road do it. 99% of the drivers on the road that you see, unfortunately, I hate to say it, they don't make a full stop on a red light. They're like, well, I can just roll in and then I can look over and see if it's clear and make the turn. Well, the problem with doing that is sometimes you'll come up to that intersection, there'll be a person with a wheelchair in that crosswalk, and you've already gone and occupied the crosswalk before having made a full stop behind the stop line. And then what are you going to do? Be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm here. Let me put the car into reverse now and perform a dangerous action so I can back up and clear the sidewalk. And because you don't have the good habits in the first place, when you go to back up, you don't realize there's a car behind you, and you back into the car directly behind you. So, the road test is designed, it's a really well designed, like the road test in 30 minutes can, for the most part, assess how the person can drive. A lot can happen in 30 minutes. Now, sometimes students will fluke, right? You can tell that they're not 100% on a particular skill set, but they'll show up. It'll be like a clear day. Nothing really weird happens on the road test and they get that license. But you got to ask yourself, do you want to be that student that's just got their N and you're kind of sort of driving, like you don't know all the rules of the road, you just kind of got lucky on the day of your road test that nothing happened? Or do you want to be that driver on the road that you know deep inside, okay, I know all the rules of the road. When I'm driving down this road, I'm confident who has the right of way. I'm confident when I need to stop. I'm confident when I should change my lane over, and so on and so forth, right? You don't want to be that student, and you know, I've had them in the past, like they'll take 4 lessons, they have not driven any other time with anybody else, so they haven't banked those hours. They just show up to the road test and they just get lucky, and the examiner's like, yeah, you pass. And it's like, if there was another scenario, perhaps that instructor would not have passed you. If you'd run into that tricky scenario where there's that cyclist in front of you, it's a narrow road, and it's not clear when it is that we should go into the oncoming traffic side and go around that cyclist, then we'll find out, hey, there's a knowledge gap here. You don't quite know what it is you need to do in a tricky scenario like that. And part of that is because you haven't been on the road enough times. And so you owe it to yourself, you owe it to everybody else on the road to make sure that your knowledge is there. And the good thing is you only have to learn once, right? So spend the time just like any other craft, just like any other skill. Put in the time and effort to learn it properly, and then you can be on the road with the peace of mind that, hey, you know, I've put in the time to learn, and this N that I've received, or this license that I've received, is well earned. Like I actually know what I'm doing rather than I just fluked a road test. So I hope that little rant will kind of guide you in the right direction and kind of be like an assessment tool of, okay, am I really ready to get my license and be on the road on my own? Or am I just kind of hoping for the best, trying my luck? Because you really don't want to be the lowest skilled driver on the road. So with that, you know, keep practicing, stay safe on the road, and I'll see you in another video.